You can never really be the pure version of yourself anymore in the eyes of the ones that's looking at you. Yeah, I don't have a smartphone.
What type of phone do you have?
No way. The best meetings happen on the dance floor indeed. You would look back, he's like, oh, this guy, he's an interesting taste and such a young guy,
That night was like wild.
In the beginning, I was really, I don't want to be part of this. I don't post much. I just post like maybe once a month.
Oh, wow.
If everyone was a little bit more like Benny Rodrigues, I think the world would be a better place.
Welcome back to Loud Unfiltered. We are live at the Amsterdam dance event, probably the best time of year for electronic music, and excited to do our next podcast.
Oh, it's you again. To me, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're
this is Alex Jukes. I'm Grego. We have probably, the podcast is called Loud Unfiltered. We have probably one of the most unfiltered artists I think you can get. A true Dutch legend. It's fair to say, an icon in the scene in the Netherlands and beyond. Certainly one of the artists I most admire and I've most enjoyed in the past years. Welcome, Benny Rodrigues. Thank you.
That's a big honor, all these words. But, I'm not sure if I agree with all those, but thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We can judge that after the end of this, can't we?
Sure.
But
big words.
Yeah, we're here at ADE. Like, you must have done this so many times. Why is it such an important week for you? Like, as an artist?
I guess at least for me, it's an important week. Well, I wouldn't say per se important, but it's just a fun week. Yeah. That's more important to me than having things done in a like meeting people or whatever. It's just, for me, ADE is the most fun week in the year, or one of the most fun weeks in the year, because I get to hear a lot of artists. All within a few days, a lot of artists that I look forward listening to, that I don't really get the chance to hear in a regular week or in the regular weekend, because I'm playing myself.
Yeah.
And now, it's like there's parties from Wednesday till Sunday. And obviously I'm playing here and there myself as well, but I try to, like, in between my gigs, I try to like squeeze here and there and just, I make a list of all the people I want to hear and the parties that I want to visit. Wow. And I really like to follow the music, the things that inspire me. So for me, that's the main reason why I think ADE is an amazing event. Obviously you also have like a lot of, people from the industry. Everyone is seeing each other, meeting each other, but that's actually the part that I try to stay away from. Like,
okay. I love the fact that you get not just play your gigs. You told me you got like 6 gigs, but you're out going to discover new artists, go and listen to.
I'll tell you honestly, like I look forward even more to listen to other artists and in the environments they're playing at. Also, like visiting new clubs. Especially in Amsterdam, there's been a couple of clubs being opened last year that I haven't been yet.
Like where? Which ones?
Like Raum. Okay. There's Levenslang. There's a few. Like let me see. There's a few. I can come up with it now. But there are like a few clubs that are really. Oh, there's Plek in Amsterdam North. And these are all places that I'm either playing at soon or, it's not on my agenda yet, but I just want to experience the vibe and see how it,
So what you're saying is you're like all of us when we do our little schedule and plan
I guess so. Yeah. No, I don't guess so. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm a nerd and I'm happy about it, because I'm really like a kid in a toy store, like when I see all these lines and, I'm just like for the last week, I've been browsing through the Amsterdam dance event site, like, okay, who's playing? Oh, and then I'm looking and I'm emailing promoter, like, oh, what time is he on? What time is she on? And, and I'll make my own timetable and see how far I get. So,
I wanted to ask you, and then, Grego's got so many questions to ask you, so he's a big fan. So, can you remember your first ever ADE?
Oh wow!
Or your first ever ADE gig, really?
I don't think I remember my very first ADE gig, but I remember like the first years. I remember for sure because it was way smaller than now, and there were way less people, way less visitors, way less DJs, artists, parties, and the ADEs I remember most are actually like a good friend of mine, very well known, a real legend, Josh Wink, from United States. He used to do Ovum label nights. His record label's Ovum, and he would invite me with all the people from the label to play in the Milky Way in Amsterdam, or other clubs. Like there used to be Club 11, which was a club before Trouw.
Legendary.
Yeah, very legendary club before Trouw, before the school. So yeah, we used to do label nights over there. So and for me it was really nice because it was one of the first time I got to meet all the people from the label, all the other artists that were part of the label, Steve Buck, George, a lot of other artists that we were following each other's music but never met in person. So that was like my first kind of idea of ADE. Like, okay, now you get to see the faces behind the music, and you get to hang out a little bit, have a nice dinner, and have this nice family feeling when you play together. You listen to each other, you stay from beginning till the night.
Oh, amazing! And that's what I love about it.
So yeah, that's really what I love about it, and it's also like a very nice social aspect, the social aspect that I actually like. With all these ADs, I've never been really into like, let's meet up, let's talk about business, or let's do this, let's talk about plans, etc., etc. I think actually during all those ADs, and I think, I've been there a few years, I don't remember I've ever had
No
like
meetings.
even one
No
meeting,
meetings.
not during
Wow.
AD. I mean, I'm not really into
your
meetings at all.
for
but-
next year because I've had too many meetings.
Well, I mean, the best meetings happen on the dance floor.
That's even if
There
exactly.
can be no better example of that ethos than what you just explained, because
I believe in
there,
that.
you're hearing the like, as well
Yeah.
as you said, you don't get the chance to hear other artists play because you're so busy playing yourself.
Yeah.
And in a week you have there's thousands of events happening for all these artists. Probably during the year you're here, but you don't have the chance to meet. So
Exactly. And yeah, the best meetings happen on the dance floor indeed. It's like, I like things to happen organically, spontaneously.
and if you don't like them, you can just walk away.
You can just walk away. Exactly.
So
yeah.
for 15 minutes. For the next one.
Yeah.
Do you
Amazing.
There's nothing to lose there.
Yeah, I mean, we will talk a little bit later about the scene and how perhaps you're like a bit of a different, the way you approach things and your mentality is a bit different. But do you like see the value, or can you see how something like ADE really is valuable to up and coming artists and like promoters who?
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, because I am not the kind of person that like to do meetings and etc. I'm not devaluating the whole aspect of ADE or the whole ADE thing, because I think it's extremely important for everyone who's a bit like interested in dance music and the culture, and and trying to make it here or trying to go big or whatever. This is the place to be. This is the week to be. I think ADE is extremely important for everyone who wants to be part of the dance industry. For a beginner, it's nice to to see all these artists that you're maybe you see at big parties, and but now you see them in all different kind of pop-ups, and you can actually hand off your demos, you can actually like make a little connection.
Nice.
You walk down the street and there's so many artists that you normally wouldn't encounter. You can always I think you should make sure you always have a little USB ready, with a nice little note.
You still like that as well. Yeah,
I mean, because I don't do that myself, but I appreciate.
They should.
I think they should. Yeah, I think people who want to make it, they should always prepare to be ready. I mean, there was I just remembered like a friend DJ of mine, like way back when I used to go to Ibiza or play or go on holiday in Ibiza. There was always this colleague DJ who was having a nice career in Holland, not too big, not too small, but she wouldn't play. She didn't have any gigs in Ibiza, but she would always have her CD. It was in the time around 2006, 2007. She would always have her CDs with her, like a CD map, record bag. And I would always ask her, like, "What's going? Where are you playing? Where are you playing?" And she's like, "I just have it with me. You never know what happens."
Yeah, you've always got to be.
And and I kind of laughed at it in the beginning, but then I thought, it's a hustle, and you never know what happens. So if it happens, you have to be ready. And I think ADE is the ultimate, the ultimate event.
Yeah, definitely.
What I mean, you mentioned pop-ups and stuff like that. So a lot of the gigs you play, there must be a big wide variance in what they're like. How do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it goes back to your musical knowledge, but how do you prepare for a week of 6 gigs in 6 weird different locations?
I don't prepare for the for the gigs necessarily like separately. I just follow them. I every day I wake up and I just listen to new music or older music that I'm trying to rediscover again or I've forgotten about. And, I'm just listening music all day long. And what I do is just I category them in different, subgenres.
Just to go into it then, so where do you listen to that music? Like, have you got?
I go to record shops.
Yeah.
I go online.
Yeah.
I do a lot of online as well, like record shops online, like to
Which
Hardwax,
Yeah.
Clone, Rush Hour, Dex in Germany, very important as well. So Aphonica. But basically, I think in UK is very, very important because they have everything. Basically, they stock everything. They stock all the genres, all the records. And even if they just buy one for the shop, at least you get to listen to that one.
You can still hear the
online.
sound,
And like with record shops like Clone and Rush Hour, they're more or Hardwax, they're more specific. They have like a really big filter, which is really nice if you're more into certain genres. But like I consider myself like, I just want to hear everything and make my own selection.
Well,
So I prefer, actually for listening and,
I guess Rush Hour in those places, it's almost like a pre-filter for you, isn't it? If you go there, what they're going to have, what they like.
I mean, their filter is amazing. It's a really good filter, but for me, it's just a part of me. So I know that if I would go only to, or only follow on Clone online, I would have a certain, section covered, but there are a lot of stuff that I'm missing out. But also on SoundCloud, on Bandcamp, these days also, on Instagram, things that, like whatever the algorithm feeds me is like, okay, I'll just take a quick listen.
Yeah.
It's, also with artists, everybody's, like way back, people would send you promos, which still happens a lot. But nowadays, a lot of artists from the younger generation also, they just post their previews up on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever, like a lot of reels. And, I'm always curious, so I'm always listening. So I find a lot of stuff that way as well. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Can you share it with me? Or
are you quite active on socials, or is it something that you push, or is it you're more like finding stuff?
Here we go.
I don't know. No, it's I used to be active on social media before COVID. I used to be on Facebook, which explains my age, but but it was Dutch only, and I was quite active there. And then after COVID, I just stopped with everything. I wasn't really interested in social media anymore. When the party started, etc., I didn't feel like it anymore because I felt like I think I realized that social media, I mean, we all know it, like social media defines a lot of things, how we act, how we feel, how we do things, and I got kind of, I felt like social media was I hated it. I felt it dictated too much how I was looking at things and, how I should maybe like, I just the whole idea behind it, it just didn't stood with me. And, I just backed off it completely. Like I stayed away from. I just joined Instagram for like a year and a half now.
Oh, right, okay.
But only because
to find music, like you said.
Sorry?
Yeah, to find music. Like
well, no, it wasn't even that. No, it was because promoters were bugging me because because they wanted videos like when they booked me, and they want videos like to promote the parties, like new videos. And but I didn't have a videographer. I was just focused on DJing. Book me, I go to the party, I do my best there, and that's it. Not too much promotion or whatever. And I stayed offline. And then promoters were bugging me more and more, like as the time went by, like, hey, we need videos, because everything is around about videos now, and we need and then at some point I was like, it's funny because when you work together with promoters like for a longer period of time, you understand that they need more, like if they book you for the 6th time or 7th time at the same festival, but the next year they need more to, they cannot just slap my name on there and like, okay, it's fine. Nowadays it's like back to back, which is like the new gimmick. Like, you have to play with someone else because we have to freshen it up, which I also get. But before that it was like, we need videos, etc., etc. And I was really against it because I felt like, I think for me, if I can speak for myself, like, I play a set, and the set it's really about the whole set from where, from the beginning, going to the middle part. There's dynamics in a certain set which you really cannot capture, in a few seconds. And but I guess I surprised myself because at some point I understood that I had to provide videos and etc. etc. And then I figured, like, you know what, if I'm gonna get a videographer and get videos from all these like highlights and whatever, I might as well post them myself instead of just sending them to all promoters separately. And they can just grab it from there. And actually, that's why it was funny because I just did it on King's Day last year in 2024. It was actually just like a test. I just slapped 10 videos on there and mailed the promoters like meltdown. No. But yeah, you can grab your videos from there, and then so many reactions, and then and it was and that kind of got me thinking about the Facebook days. With the connection with people, like communicating, and I kind of felt like it's not the end of the world, and along as the time went by, I tried to kind of grow with it and I actually learned to have some fun with it now. So I
think, look, I was going to ask you, did you feel it's almost like you felt like you had to conform a little bit to how things are, but I think the outlook and the way you've explained it there is that it's not really changed you, who you are, and and you still have a big, arm's length gap between how you're using it compared to others.
Yeah,
it really is. And if I can say it as well, it's a way for you to directly be in charge of what your fans see.
Exactly,
is probably the
I try to keep it very. I don't post much. I just post like maybe once a month, maybe twice.
Oh wow!
yeah. It's like I see some DJs.
Slow down, mate.
Exactly. No,
best video. Or something.
Yeah. No. It's like
I can't post that one.
No, I see some DJs. They just post like
5
almost
a day,
like 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and even like parties. That I like. A party like a party can be great or not so great, and but I can kind of see the way things are filmed, or we can all see that some content you can already see like is it worth to post it, but they have to keep the machine going, and I'm not looking at it at all. I just get the videos in, and I tell you the truth, like from all the videos I get from my videographer, like there's maybe only 20% I actually use.
Oh right, okay.
So there's like a lot of stuff. I feel like this is not really. It doesn't need to be online, so I make sure I have my own filter and,
Well, I guess as you said before, a 20-second clip can't ever really express what exactly one of your sets is. Yeah. And I mean, if we can use somewhere like
that's also, sorry.
Yeah, like DC10 for example, I think the policy this year to not have phones in the club is about that as well, because people would see a clip for 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
Yeah, they expect that's what they expect.
Inevitably, other people will be filming it, and then people get the impression that that's what it's like all the time.
Exactly.
It's not.
But that's what I hated That's what I hated about it in the beginning, because mystery, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling thing, because especially after COVID, it's when I play, especially for the younger generation, you see how they're programmed, how they're influenced by social media, like when you play a record and, they're like, it's okay, they're vibing, but they're basically actually waiting for the drop, like they're waiting for the breakdown. There's the breakdown. Let's get the phone ready. And it's very programmed. And and in the beginning, I was really, I don't want to be part of this, I don't want to be part of this. But then at some point you see like how things are going, and, it's inevitable. It's not, I cannot do anything about it anymore. And so I better like join it, but in a way that represents me the best I can. So as what you said, Grego, also the reason why I post less is because, I try to represent myself a little bit, like music-wise. I try to take a gig where I play maybe a little bit more deeper, and then, like maybe a gig where I play a little bit more big room, and then it's like a more techno gig. So that's also why, like there's probably like maybe a lot more content that is usable for online from the same type of gigs, like the same type of festivals, big room, whatever. But I'm like, okay, I already did this like this month, so next month I focus on maybe a more, like a deeper side or whatever. And then I try to think it as like an overall picture, like that at the end of the year when you look back, you see a nice snapshot of the different stuff that I try to portray, instead of just like just bangers, and I hope that comes through.
I was going to say, obviously social media has taken over the scene a little bit.
Not a little bit, a lot.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, what's kind of your opinion on where the scene's at the minute, and like, and where do you think it's going to go, kind of in the future?
I think it's a shame how, like, social media wise,
what scares you? Because I know there's what worries you about the state of the scene at the minute?
well, what scares me the most, social media wise, not necessarily about the scene, but just even bigger, like in society, is that we've lost we lost our innocence. And even if we're still innocent in a way, we lost our ability to be innocent. So let me give you an example. Like, if I'm like an outgoing DJ, which I'm not per se, but let's say if I'm an outgoing DJ, that's my personality. I like to dance a lot. I like to, just move a lot and, just give a lot of energy. People through the camera might see that as, oh, he or she is trying to just, get a lot of attention and etc. etc.
Yeah.
Which not might be the case, because maybe that's just my personality. So you can never really be the pure version of yourself anymore in the eyes of the ones that's looking at you, because there's cameras on us. So there's and it's attached to a certain, like, a capitalistic, like a like system, and an earning, like you gain worth from, from your online presence. So how all these things are connected, it's kind of like, I think it's damaged our whole perception of, innocence, and, how we deal with each other as humans.
I mean, it's almost a paradox, really.
I just think it's super sad.
It's almost a paradox, really, that that it was often said the camera never lies, because it captures that moment. But actually,
the irony is
it does. And I think, as you say, certainly when you relate it to music, it is about, I think, being in the moment is the big thing people talk about. It's the cliche, isn't it? And Michael Beebe did it with his parties at Solid Grooves at DC10, and it becomes a community thing again, where everyone's on the same page, right?
Yeah,
there's no phones. True. And it's not even
living in the moment as well. People living in the moment.
We realized it wasn't even necessarily the filming; it was just even being on your phone in the club.
Yeah.
Because once you're not thinking about filming, it just stays in your pocket.
Yep.
And what we found, actually, weirdly, is that night was like wild, but in lots of different ways, because people were talking to each other again.
Yeah,
so there was arguments, there was fights.
Really?
Just like couples having a fight, but that's probably your natural instinct is you're having an argument with your girlfriend, get your phone out. And
but it's also for people that, maybe don't feel comfortable in that certain moment. And, what do you do when you don't really feel comfortable? You don't really know, you don't have someone to talk to or whatever. You just grab your phone, and you're like, just to try to hide yourself a little bit until you get more comfortable or someone speaks to you. So, I think.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about this for a minute, because you're pretty hard to get hold of. I think it's the best way to say it.
How do we know who's going to be here or when he's arrived?
So I've tried to book Benny a few times, and the first time, well, first of all, you don't have an agent, which we'll talk about in a minute, but we know each other from. But Bret events, which again we'll talk about later, Ibiza stuff, and for like probably about 10 years now. But it was an email, and I think it was for Unum, and you replied 6 months later.
Probably. And sorry about that.
And you said
6 months later.
6 months later.
Oh, wow.
And then I said,
I did reply though.
Did reply? No. So it was a late.
Very late. Sorry about that.
And then. After the last gig at DC10, I think I wanted to just drop you a message to say thanks, I'll see you next time. And the number we had, it wasn't even yours. I don't think it was your girlfriend's.
Yeah.
So
I don't have a smartphone.
Don't have a smartphone?
Yeah. I don't have a smartphone.
What type of phone do you have? No way. Have a look at that.
I don't.
Oh wow.
I don't use it. I only use it.
Your girlfriend.
I only use it to call my girlfriend or my driver or the promoter if I'm late. Or I'm here in 5 minutes. Get everything ready.
Do you know what?
That's it. Like during the week, when I get home, I just close it down. And that's it.
Does this enable you just to? I mean, obviously it's quirky in a way, but does this enable you to just be in your space and do what you want then?
100%. But on the other hand, I spend a lot of time online. I spend a lot of time online on my laptop.
Yeah.
So I'm still online, but
be contacted, but it's under your terms.
Let's say if there's like if I'm walking down the street, I like to walk like daily. I take daily walks like for 2 hours. I just go around the city, and that like without a phone, and that, I just get to vibe with the environment around me.
Yeah.
And I have a phone if I'm like maybe in a shop, in a bakery, or I'm just waiting, like I have my hair done and I'm waiting, I'm 50 minutes early, usually everybody's just like scrolling. I just like to look around me, and these moments, I'm just present in the moment, and it's just a little thing, but for me, I value that a lot. If I go online, it's a very conscious decision. Like, okay, now I'm going to open my laptop, I'm going to look for music, or I'm going to answer some emails 6 months later. Or
sorry, can I just ask? We didn't go into it before, but you said you mentioned something about categorizing music. How do you actually categorize your music? What's your process for that?
So I have like two main artist names, which is Benny Rodrigues, which is my houseier side, house and techno, but more from a house angle. And then I have another project which is called ROD, and which is more pure techno, like more 90s minimal techno. So like let's say as Benny Rodrigues, I like to play from deep house to techno, like from a houseier point of view, but very concrete. I have like my playlists are basically divided in deep house, tech house, techno, Detroit, Chicago, like more Jackie tracks, breakbeat, electro, UK garage, like UK vibe-ish, like more breaky stuff. And I also have a playlist which is broken, which can be electro, breakbeat, whatever. There's an ambient section as well. So the first thing I do is basically just listen to all the genres, like online, whatever I like. I just put them in those folders, and from there on, like I do weekly folders. Like
I was going to ask you about where those influences come from then, because you just said you play a lot of different sounds. Where did like your early influences come to house or play breaks or sort forms of techno and things like that?
Yeah, good question. I started out when I was 14 years old, living with my father, who was like, I was around 36 years, quite young. He had a younger girlfriend, and they would go out a lot, like to house and techno parties. And they would go to a lot of local clubs, legendary clubs in Rotterdam, like Nighttown, etc., etc. And they would listen to a lot of house and techno, like the mix CDs from those days. And this is how I discovered the house and techno music, through my father, actually. And he was listening a lot to a colleague DJ of mine, Michel de Hey, who I've played with in DC10. Yeah, he's a real legend. And so he was actually like the first DJ. He had a local radio show in Rotterdam, where he and his guests were playing like really like kind of obscure underground Detroit, Chicago, housey, techno stuff.
This is when, mid-90s?
97, 96, 97. Very cutting edge stuff, like stuff you wouldn't usually hear on the radio. Like usually if you already hear house music, dance music on the radio, it would be like, Robin S, etc., etc. But this was like really like, obscure Green Velvet, Stacy Pullen, like very kind of, edgy records. And these frequencies, I was really grabbed by it. The show was called Planety. And that's where I got all my influence from. I really got obsessed with it. Like as a 13, 14-year-old boy, I was really grabbed by it. So long story short, I went to the show. They would give tickets away for parties, etc. And I would always win those tickets, like, the first caller or the third caller. And I was like this very energetic 13-year-old, guy. I didn't know who Michel was. I didn't know anything about the music, just what I heard, and it spoke to me. And I would win those tickets and give, for my father, so he could go out.
Oh, really? Oh, amazing.
So and then I would go to the studio to pick up those tickets, and that's where the first time I saw Michel and all those DJs. What they were playing vinyl and how they were mixing.
Oh, wow!
And I knew nothing about it, but I just saw it happen right there, right in the den. So it really, really fascinated me in a big time. And I never looked back. And from there on, long story short, I got so obsessed by it. I began asking Michel and the other DJs, where do you get your records from? Where do you
have decks? And you were
No,
at this stage,
nothing. No, I was 13 years,
Just
14 years. I
interested.
didn't know shit. I was into very other stuff, and like what a typical 13-year-old guy would be. So they would tell me like, there's these record shops. Like in Rotterdam, there used to be one street where there were, and at the time used to be like 8-9 record shops where all the DJs, all the house heads would, meet up,
Yep.
And so I would go there, spend all my time there, with, I didn't have any money, but I would like steal my father's, he has a record collection with reggae and
Okay.
a lot of different stuff. And I would steal his records and bring him to like the secondhand vinyl shop, and like trade it for money. Yeah, that's how I started like buying my first record.
Does he know about this?
Oh, he found out about it.
So he knows now.
Where's my Bob Marley record?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would spend all that money and my allowance money as well in the record shop. I would stay there all day, skip school. I was very obsessed. Hanging in the record shops
at
and
young age. Like
yeah, exactly.
12, 13.
Yeah. So finding all these records that I heard at the radio show that Michel and all these guest DJs would play, try to see if they would match up with what I remembered from the radio show. And then the then owner of one record shop called Basic Beat, he lived up on the top floor of the shop. And every time he would go down, he would always see me hanging in the record shop, like 14 years, always like, because there would be older people always in the shop and I would be the youngest one. And I would always be in the record, like searching very obsessively. And after a while, I think 6 months or so, he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, little guy, you've been spending so much time here. I better pay you for it."
Oh wow!
Yeah. So he,
what was his record shop?
Basic Beat. Yeah, and the DJ of their owner, his name was Ronald Molendijk, and he was a very big influential DJ in Holland. And now he does like reality TV, or he's a host from a national reality TV. Yeah, he's a whole different career. But at the time, he used to be a very big and for me very influential DJ, and also the shop owner. So he hired me to work in the shop, which at the time also like Tiesto used to work there as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, like
wow.
So you've really this is an apprenticeship.
This was
you've really served it.
This was in 98. I got hired, and so I worked at that time. When I started, like Tiesto was just about to get big, and he left the shop, but we had a little time together as well. There were like other local DJ or like Dutch DJs that used to work in the shop that was playing everywhere, but I was just a young kid coming in and didn't know, just knew a little bit, learning about everything. And then, I worked in a record shop, and that's basically, where my obsession for music came about, because at that time I was 14, 15, and I just skipped school basically, and I just spent all my days like from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the night in the record shop. I didn't have any. I never had record turntables until maybe, let's say 10 years ago or something like that.
All right, so
the first 20 years of my career was basically in the shop. I was or the first 10 years I would only mix in the shop, because that's where I was spending all my time,
you learn how to mix in the shop.
Yeah, I would learn how to mix in the shop.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I would just, I would work there, sell people records, and then after the shop closed, I would stay there, till the
amazing networking place as well.
It was incredible. It's a classic. Basically it's a classic story. Like a young person, who gets to work in a record store, and hear all these things, and then you see all these people, who come to buy all these big DJs as well. They buy records from me now. Like Michel also, he comes now up to me like, "Hey, what do you have?" And I used to be his biggest fan, and now I'm selling him his record. So, and this is like not planned, organically you make connections, it's like people see, like there was this one guy called Raymond Lacroix, which was a resident DJ for one of the biggest parties back then in Rotterdam called Now Wow. And I would sell him records, and then after, when he was listening to those records, I would just mix a little bit in my own time, just and he would look back. He's like, "Oh, this guy, he's an interesting taste and such a young guy,
Well, okay.
So, and he gave me a chance to play in the club that at that time was really influential. which ended up being my residency. It was called Now in Rotterdam. And there was at the time, like around 2000, 99, 2000, this was like really like the most popular club in Holland, without a doubt. So I was a resident there, and then it exploded. So
sorry, I was just going to say, do you think that's kind of lost now? A little bit of the record shop days and
for sure. The whole social, for sure. I miss it a lot every day. Not every day, but if I could go back in that era, I would go back instantly, because those were. This is culture, isn't it? This is the social part that I really enjoy. Like as you said, like right now with a party, when you encounter you see each other, you have a nice talk about shared interests. Like, oh, let's have it. Everything was just so organically, and you're just sharing your stories and you're sharing the same fascination and in a very organic way. And man, I think honestly, even now, I have a really good life. I cannot complain at all. I'm very happy. But still, if you ask me what was like the most happy period of your life, I would always say like the time that I worked in the record shop and, see all those people come in who, we share the same fascination.
Well, I mean, it's like with you, I've always felt like, obviously it's your passion for the music, but it's a pure passion. It's like,
I hope so.
Pure, but it's very pure how you are.
Thank you.
And all of these things that you talk about, it's because of the purity of how connected you are with the culture. And even for someone like me, I've never really DJ'd, even a record shop for me.
Why not?
Not maybe
change it.
Next back to back is coming. But like even for me, like a record shop, because it was the heartbeat of the culture. It's like you're in there, even though I never as an artist talking about different tracks, talking about different artists, how they match, how they work together. It's like that part of it, as you say, it's kind of lost really. And
it is for sure.
I mean, that's what I was going to ask. I was perfectly leading on. Like, what would you say to the new generation now? Like, what was the best advice of about building a real career with what's going on in the scene at the minute, and everything's online, and where you buy records from, or Beatport or whatever? What would you say to someone who's coming up?
Well, the thing from I personally think the way I grew up within this world, it's so different than how things are now, and I always try to be wary of the fact that I've lived a certain life which is not really possible nowadays anymore. So I should look with the eyes from a person living it now, not judge too much like how things go now. You have to be you have to stay young in your mind as well, not to dismiss everything, how things happen now, and how people deal with all these, things that are different than how I used to grow up. I think the most important thing, and I think it's a bit lost, you really have to. I think but that's the thing you always say. You really have to stay true to what you believe in as an artist, which it's a big cliche, but I think it's harder than ever nowadays because of social media as well. We're being so programmed nowadays to like for me, music. I started because I loved the music. I heard it on the radio. I didn't have any visuals about how people respond to music. Hands in the air and what you can do with that. No, I was fascinated by the music like 3 years fully on before I entered. The first time I entered a club, so that's when I 3 years later I found out about how people respond to the music, etc. So for me, it is very pure indeed, and I just hope that for younger generations, they can find their way into that as well. But nowadays, with all social media and in this capitalistic kind of shitstorm we're living now, where you have to be successful and you have to be bigger and better and this and that, it's for a younger person. I can totally imagine that, first you're gonna think about, how can I get big? How can I become big? And then you look for, which music do I go,
it's kind of the other way around.
It's like the other way around, and it's certainly not for everyone, like who goes that route, but it's like this system is kind of almost designed now, to be successful no matter what. Like it's a capitalistic mindset, and
that doesn't match with art, does it really?
Exactly. It's a total opposite. So yeah, for me, it just breaks. It's very difficult to, for me to see that all that happened. But if someone would actually listen to me, or what. Yeah, I would just say, you really have to stay. You have to really find what defines you. What makes you move. And what's interesting for you. Because when you really find that spot, you don't really care about whatever the outcome is, because you're having fun with whatever you're doing. And it's not about you're not wasting your time because you're doing something you're really into. And then some will say, success will come afterward. We don't know if success, there's no guarantees in this thing.
It's doing something you love, isn't it? And
you really have to stay pure, but I think it's very difficult nowadays, because I just see how we're kind of programmed to just be successful, and be, portray a certain, a certain.
I think that's the perfect message, isn't it?
I know. It's unreal. Actually, I just wanted to ask you 2 more questions, really.
Sure.
What's your favourite club in Amsterdam?
In Amsterdam, actually, I was still thinking, but now you say, no doubt about it. Yeah, it's Bret.
You to ask about Bret.
Thank you. No, it's Bret for sure.
Not to answer for
Bret.
you, but
well, not necessarily Bret. I mean, Bret as a club for sure, but in combination with Slap.
Yeah, I mean those.
It has to be those 2 elements.
Those.
I actually don't play any other party in Bret because I'm so connected. I'm such a good feeling.
Those Mondays, obviously, it's because every other event's finished. So everyone from
they're doing a lot more now, but
Okay. So it was. I mean, it means that all the other promoters, everyone can go there.
Exactly.
A lot of artists go there. Obviously, Slapfunk don't announce the lineup.
It's kind of a little bit how the record shop days, like before, where all the people from the scene would come together. And
I've been in there. Obviously, I've been in there
way too long.
4 days.
I was going to say
never too long.
And way too long.
Way too long, but never too long.
Yeah, never long enough. But certainly when you've been playing, and it's you play like hard in there, and hard in Bret sounds harder than anywhere else because it's a metal box.
Yeah. Obviously, everything returns very quickly.
Really slaps harder
because
of the acoustics in there. The acoustics aren't particularly great.
No, but there's a lot of things sound. That's not great there, but it just happens there. Yeah, it's a power of a small club, and that's the thing. People maybe nowadays also, like nowadays, certain generations are, they think like, as I said before, you have to be bigger, successful, But the whole heartbeat of this whole thing, is about, being together in a certain, in having a certain vibe together. And that certain vibe is so much easier achievable when you're in a small club, and that's where you feel the spirit of, of this whole thing that we're all enjoying so much. You can find it in a very big rave in another way, but the real soul and everything, it's in a club like Bret, that's where the music really hits, because it's smaller, the frequencies hit you harder, and you vibe off each other.
I think every one of our listeners is going to want to go to Bret now. That's one of the best descriptions.
No, it's the best. It's the best.
Club,
it's a fun, super fun.
Perfect, man. That's been amazing. We really loved, listening to you and sharing some moments with you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, from me, I just want to say, it's a real, you're an icon, really. For
that's big words, but thank you. I appreciate it.
I know you don't particularly like it, but it's true. It's the scene misses artists like you, and if everyone was a little bit more like Benny Rodrigues, I think the world would be a better place, to be honest.
I don't want to go that far, but I appreciate you saying that. Really, thank you,
mate.
Thank you. Cheers,
man. Thank you.